Hello, everybody. Good morning and welcome to the webinar. Let's still wait maybe one more minute that we get all the attendees in. I can see that you are joining continuously. It's great to have you all here. All right, it's 1 minute past, so it's time to start. So very much welcome to our first webinar organized by Brillian. It's super nice to have you all here. My name is Pauliina Alonen, and I will be hosting this webinar, as well as then sharing the five practical steps together with Eeva in this webinar. And yeah, it's super nice to have you all here, and we kind of wanted this to be like interactive session. We will have first a little bit of introductions from our side, and then Tarmo will speak, and then we will share the 5 tips. But after, we hope that we will have a nice and insightful conversation and Q&A also. If you want, you can already at this point kind of say hi in the chat. We have Jussi, our CEO, from our side, who is kind of checking out the chat during this webinar. So you can also introduce yourselves also in the chat already in case you wish to do so. And then we do have this Q&A feature in this Teams webinar as well that you can use. And then I believe you should be able to also vote the questions in case we get a lot of questions. So you should be able to kind of select the best ones. So yeah, let's go to the next one. Tarmo, are you able to change it? Yes. So today, during this hour, we will discuss first a little bit of kind of setting the stage, how we have entered this kind of new age of human AI collaboration through digital intelligence, and what does that really mean for organizations, leaders, and above all, the people in the organization, and the collaboration between you and I, the teams, people that we have in our teams that we're leading, and bigger departments, organizations, and based on our experience and our work, sharing a couple of insights and learnings from there. And together with Eeva, we have tried to put this in these kind of 5 kind of practical tips that you can then start using, hopefully right away in your day-to-day work after this webinar. And as already said, we have reserved quite some time. Hopefully, we will have that for the Q&A and discussion then in the end. A little bit about the speakers. I will quickly introduce. If you go to the next. Yes, thank you. So, we have Eeva here.
Good morning, everyone.
Eeva is our AI transformation lead here at Brillian, and well, basically her job is to help organizations navigate AI-driven change. Eeva has a PhD. In her doctoral research, she studied how industrial firms move from manufacturing to service production and analyzed the change between like the change itself, but also how the organizations talk about it. And she really has this kind of human-centered approach in change and AI transformation. And a lot of experience from fields such as industrial automation and other like global operations. Then, of course, we have Tarmo, our CTO and co-founder. Hi. Tarmo has a deep understanding of data and AI and digital technology and their effects and requirements for business. During his 20+ years in the software industry, Tarmo has gained extensive experience for working in various roles and leading business advisor and business development roles. And in this talk, he will really talk more about the digital intelligence and what that means for leaders and people in organizations. And then, of course, myself. So, Pauliina, really nice having you here. I work here at Brillian as AI business designer. I have a background of building and scaling companies' products, particularly in tech, in Silicon Valley, but also in Finland, and a lot of experience working in data and AI projects in the past, but also here at Brillian. Particularly my focus is like service design and business design, helping organizations kind of leverage AI and translate the kind of complex tech world into meaningful and customer-centric business value. Yes, and now let's move forward. Tarmo, would you like to give our listeners a quick brief about what Brillian is about, as I doubt that there are some who are not that familiar yet. So,
yeah, sure. Thank you, Pauliina, and welcome on my behalf also. Yeah, Brillian is a company who uses all the tools of digital intelligence to help our customers grow and evolve into this age of AI and growing intelligence. We are really proud to combine the cutting edge AI understanding, the cutting edge tools that we've learned for the past 5 to 6 years working on the domain. Many of our employees, including myself, have a background already in AI and, for example, Silo AI, the largest private AI lab in Europe, and we are proud to combine that into this, you know, non-technology view. What like we are going to talk today also, that there are still so many things that haven't changed. So AI is not just a magic bullet that, you know, just take the AI tools and everything is happening by itself. No, we don't believe that. We believe that there is still need for deep expertise and understanding and the human touch also for the transformation. So we are proud to say that we are the partner for the age of digital intelligence who understands what is happening today and how to use these new growing intelligent tools. So yeah, understanding the human connection, being able to utilize the cutting edge AI and intelligent tools, and also making sure that we are doing the right things. We are really doing something that is growing and evolving your organization or business or whatever your goal is. And yeah, we are young company, but we've had a quite exciting journey so far already during this first year and a half, and great to have all of you also to have this discussion today. And yeah, we do quickly about our offering. We do advisory services starting from the awareness, understanding, to building your roadmap, and then we have like I said, the deep expertise on managing, delivering projects for digital intelligence. Pauliina, anything to add before I move on to the topic?
Thank you, Tarmo, for introducing the company. I think our participants are eager to kind of get into the beef of it. So let's move on and yeah. discuss where we are with Gen AI.
Yeah, there are certain things that I like to say all the time when I talk about this topic, and for today I also highlighted few things that I feel that is super important today when we start talking about the change and transformation and really utilizing these new technologies. So one of the things that I say pretty much every time that I speak is just to give a bit perspective to this whole discussion. So it's quite easy to get lost into this kind of buzz and kind of fast pace of the development that is true, but for now and then it's really good to also remember the big picture, that this is part of these technology waves, and quite often these will take some time. Although the change in the technology is fast, the change in the overall landscape is going to take some time. And how I see this is part of the continuation of these mega trends, or how we would like to call them, the technology eras that started actually from the 80s, when software started to arrive from the mainframes and moon landing projects to your desktop and into the office, and that was a huge change. You got new tools, you got Excel and these digital tools, and products started to be not just physical products but actually code and products. And yeah, let's say that was the key focus on how you build your business and how you grow your efficiency, was the question that, okay, how do I utilize this logical processes that the software provides. And that took until 2000s, and of course something quite big in the technology field happened, which was of course the internet and connectivity overall, and then that was pretty much the main focus until the recent years, that every time you build software or products or services, you were of course thinking that, okay, how does this connect to our customer, what are the channels to make it directly to the customers, and how do we make these services and applications talk to each other. And that was pretty much the focus of service development for the past 20 years, to make sure that you get the data, you understand what is happening in your devices, and how do you reach your customers utilizing these new connectivity possibilities. But now things have really shifted. These are not going to go away, and I would say that is one of the key messages here, that we are still going to need software, probably much more actually even than even before. We are still going to need internet and connectivity. Actually, we are going to rely on them even more. But now we have already shifted the focus on how to making these things more intelligent and smart and usable, and we are a little bit maybe also sometimes struggling with that idea, but that shift is really clear. And we like to talk about digital intelligence more than AI, because AI, we believe that is not the full picture. AI, Gen AI, large language models, yeah, that is the really interesting and fast evolving part, but there are still so many ways of making your systems more intelligent, and this is what we like to say, that think about building these steps of intelligence to your systems. Start moving step by step toward more intelligent system. You don't have to try to do the quantum leap that suddenly everything is run by the LLMs. But yes, this is happening. Customers, consumers are expecting better and better services, more intelligence from your services, and also your employees, your organization is expecting in the let's say next coming years, 10 to 20 years. This is probably going to be in the focus of development, and everybody is expecting more and more intelligence from the digital systems. And this is what we are going to talk today. How do you make this transition happen? And what I would like to highlight today, going a bit deeper into the technology, is what we see when we work with organizations, leadership teams, and executive groups, is that, and also when you look at the media, when you try to follow the discussion on social media or news feeds, we are really struggling to understand the large language models, the new type of intelligence. How do you use it? What kind of questions and tasks do you give to that new type of intelligence? So AI is a lot of things. It's about learning and not coding these systems, and large language models are the key part of that generative AI, like ChatGPT and Copilot, and it's usually about a natural language. And now we have a situation where we have, in organizations, we have 3 different types of, how do I call them, intelligence, and we should really know they are different type. They might look a little bit similar on the top, but we should really start learning what kind of tasks and how do you use them, because I would say that a lot of the issues with, for example, Gen AI, most of the time the issue is that we are using these co-pilots and large language models to a little bit wrong way, a little bit wrong type of tasks. And I'm just going to give kind of quick overview here what I mean with this. So sometimes we think about large language models that they are part of the computers, and we are expecting that they behave in a deterministic, logical way, like doing calculation and being, the right every time. And we need to forget that. In that way, the large language models are a little bit closer to human intelligence, that they are statistical and they behave a little bit differently every time. But also we have this thing that then when we start thinking about it, okay, they are exactly like humans and they think the same way. And once again, we are quite wrong with that. So large language models, they are really about associating things. They are really good at understanding context and managing knowledge and transforming the knowledge into new formats, understanding text, writing text, but they are not really good at understanding kind of deep reasoning. What does it really mean in this physical world, and what is the meaning, and also they are lacking this deep creativity. I'm stating here that large language models are amazingly creative, but I call it a kind of shallow creativity, which means that it's kind of steering towards the average, because this is how the large language models work. They think about, okay, this pattern looks familiar. If I have this part of the pattern, okay, maybe the rest looks like this. So they are steering toward the average. And for many of the tasks, this is absolutely fine, because they are fast. They are really good of these associations, but sometimes you don't want the average, and then that's not the place for the large language models. Then you want to go into the deep creativity, and you need to keep that in your organization, in the human intelligence. And yeah, every intelligence, they have their flaws also. I think it's a little bit funny that we're really talking about bias on AI, but the truth is that the bias is in the data, but AI is actually performing really solidly. And with humans, I think we are more have more issues with fatigue and bias, and how do we manage information that really changes. Yeah, just as a highlight, stating that this is what we need to learn. This is what you need to learn to utilize these in your organization, and also highlighting that yeah, we have this new intelligence, but still usually the crucial thing, the key thing in the organization that states that how well you perform, it's still the human edge. It's communication, leadership, trust, and these things are not going to go away. So automate the repeatable and celebrate the unrepeatable. So really celebrate also the part that the humans, master and should be mastering also in the future. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Tarmo. This was really insightful, and I hope you also maybe have some questions or thoughts that this kind of came to you during this presentation. Now, for the sake of interactivity, before we jump into the 5 tips, I would like to try. We have this poll, and let's see if this works. I'm trying to. I hope you can all see it. So we would like to ask you to comment which phase of AI transformation are you most familiar with? And feel free to answer many of these if many of them are familiar to you. But I don't know if you can see it, as I am not getting any views on the results. Yes, now I can start seeing. Yeah, we thought this kind of question would be kind of good to understand, first of all, what kind of crowd do we have here, but also to kind of showcase that there is a lot of variance still, about the kind of stage where the companies are in terms of their AI journey. Of course, there are the front runners that we keep hearing about in the news, but then still the majority of companies are still really trying to define their approach to AI and how they could be leveraging it in their business. And of course, that then affects the organizations and the people in it, like what does it really mean for them. Let me now share the results. Okay, it doesn't work as I expected, but
yeah, they are visible in the chat.
Oh, you could see it there.
Yeah, just
okay, great. Now I can see them as well. Okay, so I guess, yeah, most of you replied to organizational efficiency with Copilot. Okay, early exploration and pilots. Okay, yeah. And then some of you have also replied that you already have AI in production. Yes, okay, really interesting. Thank you. Thank you for this. But okay, now without further ado, Eeva will maybe take control of the presentation, and let's start with these tips to lead AI transformation.
Let's do that. And while listening to me and Pauliina, it would be really good if you, at the same time, also reflect a little on what you hear. And then we are, as Pauliina has said, we expect to have some discussion and questions on these practical tips. So what sounds familiar, what is totally new, and what also could be useful in your own organization. But let's start with the first practical tip. And that is that all organizations should start making sense of AI, meaning that we should be sort of having these conversations on what AI means to us, how AI is connected to our strategy, and what sort of seems relevant for us. And a very good place to start is, in fact, the intelligence framework that Tarmo just presented to us. And it's also quite heartwarming to see that we humans still have a very strong place in that framework. So a lot of that, when we talk about AI transformation from the people perspective and how we can make that successful, we already know that there's quite a lot of hesitation and even fears towards AI and what it might bring to us and the organizations. So if we take the time for these discussions, we can also sort of reduce the noise and make it a bit more clear on what we are as an organization sort of aiming at. So what sense making then actually means? We quite often ask the question that, does this make sense to you or me? And it's in fact a topic that we know quite a lot about. So when we are making sense of AI, it means that we align on what we are doing and at the same time also sort of rule out those projects or work that is not relevant for us. And this is something really important because quite often there are a lot of opinions on where we should start and what happens after the co-pilot experimentation. But sense making is basically this social process, it's discussions, it's sort of continuous dialogue on what we know already and what we need to know next and where we are going. And this quite often also is something that sort of help from outside can be really, really sort of getting the process going and facilitating the work and getting results also much faster. But also to the making sense part, it's good to have the discussions on who is participating and who is needed. And here, Pauliina will talk about collaboration in a while, but the important thing is that AI is not an IT project as many, maybe previous ones regarding technology have been. So we need a lot of people there. Is it plausible? And this is in the very core of sense making. So is it realistic? Do we believe it? Are we on board? So is it plausible to me and us as a team and as the whole organization? And here we need the discussions, we need the right questions and also listening when the answers are given. And this is quite often time consuming. It might not feel easy. And it's something that quite often in a very sort of fast paced everyday life is something that it's not easy to take the time to have these conversations. But as said, it's ongoing. So it's never just one workshop at a time and sort of AI is now sorted out, but it's a continuous process. And here we sort of need to draw the timeline all the time and also look to the near future and also to the sort of 10 years time frame on where we want to be with AI. So interaction is here the key in sense making. Then to the second tip, and Pauliina, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, so as Eeva already mentioned, AI is obviously not an IT project only, although a big part of that is, of course, there as well. But and like Eeva kind of highlighted, for the sense making, this interaction is really important. Many of these initiatives that we have also seen in our work, they have kind of belonged to many different organizational units, and really understanding how onboarding some new AI feature in the product that the team is using or starting to use Copilot, that can sort of at least change or even disrupt the existing structures and processes what people are used to doing, and therefore it's good to also help this learning in a way that people from different teams and departments can learn from one another and understand how how the processes are being changed, and of course what is not changing. So through this facilitating this cooperation, we will get new ways to experiment and ideate, also share what has been going well. For instance, if you have come up with a genius way of using Copilot for, I don't know, your sales offerings or anything like that, and share it with your team and your colleagues. But also if you think that something doesn't work, and kind of having this culture where it's okay to experiment, but also discuss when something is off and you shouldn't be using AI, at least in that way, for a particular task. What we have seen in our work is that it's quite often beneficial for companies if they're still quite early in their AI journey, to have these workshops where we are exactly doing what Eeva just mentioned, making sense of AI. What does it mean for us? And having there people from all these kind of departments mentioned here, so IT, HR, R&D, different organizational units. And because many of these processes kind of go through all of these departments, it's important to have really the people that are kind of the end users of the tool, or tools that we would like to have there, and also the people that are kind of leading this AI transformation from the kind of top down. So really this kind of both ways interaction is important. And also trainings, so that people don't feel that you just purchase Copilot licenses for everybody, but then you're sort of left on your own to figure out how to work with it and really reinvent these ways of working. It can be as simple as some like forum or Slack channel to kind of share these learnings and tips within each other, because really this big AI transformation boils down into really the details of how you and I do our everyday work, and sharing the kind of small approaches or small achievements is important. And yeah, can't highlight more the importance of communications and sort of feeling that, okay, we are not exactly sure how this change is happening, and there is always uncertainty, but we are in this together as peers, as colleagues, as humans, as companies, organizations, and that there is the support from the leadership. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah. And the third tip, in fact, is a straightforward continuation from Pauliina's previous tip. So when we are doing something and leading the work that is definitely still uncertain, nobody has the crystal ball, and we don't know what is the sort of relevant usage of AI in, let's say, 5 years, or even with a short time frame in our company. So we need a lot of psychological safety. We need the certainty and the feeling that, hey, we are in this together and we will figure it out. And like said, when we talk about AI, it's like Tarmo said, showed us these eras. It's definitely something completely else than the traditional IT projects and IT development. So as we are at the very first steps of the AI journey, we need the psychological safety around us, and sort of the togetherness that this is something that we will then manage together. So we know that AI transformation happens in a safe place, and it can only sort of take place when we are facing it together. And here a short deep dive to brain research, my very favorite topic when we talk about change and human experience. We know by research and by our own experience as well that our brains are sort of first of all, they are not wired for the AI era. They have been more or less the same already before the era of internet. And we also know that when we are facing something new, our brain is quite protective. The hesitation that I earlier mentioned is something that our brain does by sort of as a biological reaction. It's not the change resistance, or it's not just bad attitudes. But when we face something new, it's always something that happens by nature. So our brain is wired to protect us from the new and maybe threatening, and sort of wants to stay the same. Our brain wishes that things would stay the same. And this is good to know when we are introducing something that is sort of revolutionary and completely new. And psychological safety is also one of the sort of basic needs, especially in organizational context when we are facing something new. So the deep dive to brain research. Some of you might have heard of David Rock and his SCARF model based on brain research, which has introduced these feelings of threat that we can experience in changes. And those sort of aspects that David Rock introduced were status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, and fairness. And the important thing about these sort of aspect is that when we, for example, feel that things are not fair, or I'm not sure what's going to happen, or my status might be changing, the same parts in our brain activate as they would when we feel physical pain. So it's something quite sort of concrete and eye-opening that when we are facing changes, our brain reacts in the same way as if I was sort of hurting to my body. So nothing to be looked over, and rather to have the focus here when the big changes are coming. This is Brilliant's take on David Rock's SCARF model, and here are the kind of aspects that we feel that are relevant with AI transformation especially. So the status and certainty, they are pretty much the same as David Rock has introduced. And quite often when we are starting with AI, we are fearing that there might be lack of control over what is happening. And we are thinking that, will my contribution still be valued, and am I relevant? And certainty deals with the lack of predictability. So when there will be new information, and how things will progress from here, and will my roles and responsibilities change? But the two sort of new ingredients, and our ingredients when we talk about these threats here adopted, are capabilities and security. And especially with capabilities, we quite often fear that, do I have the skills required, and will there be still a place for me in this organization? And security, which is really understandable, and also the discussion going on in many organizations. So the psychological safety part, will I be replaced by AI? Is this safe? And of course, the cybersecurity aspect as well. Should we even begin if it feels too risky? Well, the good thing is that we should not be left with these fears, but to understand that in fact, we are not sort of resisting change just by principle, or just feeling that, hey, this is not for me and I'm never going to do that, but rather to look a bit more deeply on where we are at the moment in our organization. We can have discussions, build the dialogue, have good quality communications, training, and also have a lot of effort in the cybersecurity part. So there's a lot of sort of straightforward tools that from change management perspective also we can help people with. So this is practical, but this is also sort of getting into the very human aspect of AI and understanding what people are going through. But let's get into those phases next, and Pauliina will walk us through of the three levels of AI?
Yes, I think you can actually right on jump into the next one. So it's important to remember that AI transformation happens on these three levels: personal, team level, and organization level. And why it's important is that there is different kind of support that is needed on all of these levels, and also the kind of leadership that happens on these levels is a bit of different. You can, yeah. So first of all, about the personal. This is something that we are all familiar with. It's personal and practical sort of day-to-day work. We all need to learn new ways of working. We are kind of testing our collaboration with Gemini, where could we apply it, or ChatGPT or Copilot whatsoever, asking for advice, sparring together with the LLMs, and kind of just using it both at work and in perhaps in our personal lives as well. Here, leaders have to be engaged, but really eventually the kind of leadership is self-led at this level. So this is kind of very operational, and it does challenge kind of all of us. And people might feel that unless they explore this area, they might be kind of left behind, and that they sort of have to try out different things. But also there can be this kind of curiosity towards testing and becoming kind of more efficient and making some, let's say, more cumbersome jobs seem a bit easier to complete. Then on the team level, there is, of course, this kind of sharing and supporting. I believe that a lot of the kind of motivation, seeing how your peers that are your close colleagues are doing the same work, or kind of collaborating better, perhaps, that can be a really like a good source of motivation to try out and share some things together as a team. Here it can be led by the team leads, these small changes, but also it's also very much peer-to-peer, and having these kind of ways to be open to new and adjust the ways of working is important at this level. Here also it's to be noted that some common goals and practicalities is good to be discussed, and as said previously many times, it's a lot about interaction and communication. So it's good to also share within the teams, but also between the teams what's going on. And then finally, on the organizational level, of course, it's good to have some kind of common direction and support for the decision-making, kind of strategic level, where we are headed and what should we be focusing on. This is led by the leadership, and actually the last tip will be even more about this organizational level. But here really it's good to remember that AI transformation can only be led when companies have this kind of understanding of where they want the organization to go, and have this kind of purpose for their leveraging AI. Maybe we can go to the final tip then. This is something that we have helped a lot of our clients to really define the kind of purpose and vision for AI, but also to share it and define it in a way that it is somehow meaningful for the organization. So in general, it's important not to fall into this do AI pitfall. And by that, I mean that you just embed some AI somewhere, and it's kind of this non-organized, chaotic way of, okay, let's do something as we really don't know what we should be doing, but rather just let's do AI for the sake of AI. But we at Brillian, we really want to kind of help companies to focus on the why and where to kind of get the most, let's say, value and also this kind of define the vision and understanding of where my company is headed. Without a vision, it can be that there are these kind of explorations or companies get stuck on the pilot mode. This is the risk that is often kind of discussed when we are trying these new technologies. Of course, it's normal that when you're kind of still in the research phase, it means that you are exploring and making many pilots, and none of them necessarily go into production immediately, but they are all still kind of building this capability and understanding in the organization. And eventually there is something that is so like you will work it in a way that it becomes valuable enough. But with the vision, it's something that builds trust in the people and gives everybody, every employee, team lead, manager, like a consistent foundation of, okay, this is kind of the direction where we are going, and this is how we want to, like our stance with AI. This is how we view it in my company. And it also helps discover and prioritize where to use AI and kind of select the use cases, let's say, in case you have trouble prioritizing what to do first. It's often the case that it's easy to come up with the use cases, but then when it's time to start investing and really select one or two that we deem worthy in terms of ROI, then it's more difficult to actually select. And if we're able to connect the AI vision with the business goals, then that will increase transparency. So I mean, really like existing KPIs or OKRs or something like that. And then it also makes it easier to share the information and kind of track how we are advancing in our AI journey, and putting this to the kind of right forums and in identifying the owners. It's beneficial to have this sort of AI vision to kind of pull it all together. Yes, and then finally, if you go to the next slide, perhaps Eeva, you can elaborate more on this, but all in all, at Brillian, we believe that we should be building an AI transformation that is human by nature.
Yes, indeed. And Tarmo put it really well that when we with the intelligence framework, that when we talk about human intelligence, the final reasoning, the looking for the meaning and the judgment on what kind of AI initiatives we are first launching, that is something that us humans are responsible of, and that is what we sort of hold accountable for. So we need a lot of understanding on the possibilities and the technologies, but that's just sort of the part of the work, and us humans then take responsibility on how we continue from there. And there's a lot of other stuff that we also want to share with you, and everything cannot be shared during this 1 hour, so there's more to come. If you, Pauliina, want to continue.
Yeah, we have just published this new ebook on this topic, so if you're interested, you can just take a screenshot of this URL and find yourself a copy. And then before we jump into the Q&A, there is one more ad that I wanted to share with you. So as I mentioned in the beginning, this is our first webinar, and we have a newsletter also that's kind of the intention is that we would share these practical perspectives also there, and also to let you know of our future events. So we intend to organize these kind of morning coffee sessions live, and also these webinars regularly in the future. So if you would be interested in learning more about how AI delivers value, then we have this also available. But yeah, let's jump into the Q&A. I believe we have only 10 minutes, but it's also really good. You can also raise your head. I should be able to raise your hand. I should be able to unmute you if you want to discuss with us directly. But any thoughts or comments from your side, participants? Anything that you would like to comment? If it's silence, I have a few backup questions here for now, but well, maybe we can discuss with Eeva and Tarmo a little bit, and of course, Jussi, feel free to comment, but I'm curious about hearing your perspectives on where do we think that companies currently need the most help in their AI transformation journey, meaning that we know that companies are in very different kind of steps, but is there anything that has kind of you have seen that you have the like they have the most need of some help in this journey? Anything that comes to your mind, Tarmo or Eeva?
Yeah, there are quite a few of those. I maybe with a technical background, I feel that the sense making of AI that is actually a big one, because it doesn't just mean kind of even technical understanding, but we are lacking the vocabulary. How do we talk about these things? We are lacking the shared kind of starting ground for the discussion. We are all approaching it with a so different view. Somebody thinking really technically, someone thinking about just using ChatGPT, somebody is thinking autonomous vehicles and everything in between. So even the good communication and awareness, I think, is slowing down every step of the transformation.
Yeah, I have to agree with Tarmo, and also the fact that sort of when we always start with the personal, so the personal is different for every one of us, and for that reason, the situational awareness needs to be built, and that takes time. But I think that we have a question.
Yes. I was trying to unmute. Okay, now you can unmute yourself, Mark.
Great. Hey, guys. Thanks so much for inviting us and presenting on this. I would really like to go through the 5 points. Somehow I didn't note down all 5 when they came up. So that's the first thing at the end. I'd love to go back and get into it. I'm speaking to you from Zimbabwe today, and I run a gold mining company here. We run operations in Kenya and in Zimbabwe. I think Africa can often benefit from the ability to jump certain steps in our development. I'm really keen to understand how and when and if to invest time and resources in accelerating our AI journey. I see huge potential, but what I do learn from the mining industry is that it's often better to be the first to be second, as opposed to blazing the trail, because you do a lot of learning and blazing the trail. So I suppose what I really want to get from this, and what I'd love to understand in time, and it doesn't necessarily come today, it might be useful for Brilliant to take on board and to use in your marketing, is where's AI early on tangibly saved money for executives and for the business, and how has it delivered value to, quarterly performance, annual performance? What sort of timelines can we expect? What to kick in to deliver what kind of value. I see I've got to sell to a board, I've got to sell to shareholders, investments, and that kind of practical feedback, that kind of insight would be very useful to me on where and how I could allocate that going forward. So I'm just giving you what I wanted to get from this in time, and I'm really chuffed to be engaging with Brillian, and in particular with Finland again. Love the accent, love the team, and your competence in general. So thanks again. I'll mute myself.
Thanks a lot, Mark.
Thanks.
Quite a few really interesting things about the speed. And are you the forerunner or a bit safer, kind of taking the view that, okay, what is happening, when is the right time to move? My answer to that is, or recommendation to that is, that it's more about the pace of the progress. I also rather say to organizations that you don't need to rush. This is not something you need to be ready this year or the next quarter. Take your time, but try to find that kind of, it might not be the fastest pace, but start it, because the change is going to be a little bit longer and probably a bit more difficult and slower than you anticipate. So start practicing, start learning, start doing, because then when you decide to move, you might actually be surprised that there is a kind of quite a lot of momentum you need to gain. So I think the winners are the organizations that understand that this is for the next 5 years, 10 years, even 20 years, and they build on top of the previous experiences and keep on learning all the time. It's not about the pace for today, but it's about who can continue up that pace. And the real business value, it's quite scattered, it's fragmented, but it's definitely happening. And the spearheading of building the value is happening in the software development and building new products and services and utilizing AI in developing these things. So and then it's like it can be like 10x value, and it's still quite fragmented. We really don't yet hear about these stories, but my expectation is that we will have these few core, let's say, verticals or domains that are going to get this not just iterative value, but actually transformation of the business. And we are seeing this in few different areas, and I believe that it's gradually going to evolve beyond these, like software development and customer service and these key areas into other areas. But it will take some time. It will take some years, and I'm also hoping that the transformation is actually gradual. I think we rather take gradual and managed transformation than something happening overnight.
Yes, really good answer and question also. Thank you very much, Mark. We have maybe time for one quick question still before we need to wrap up, in case you have. If you don't, I wanted to still share that our intention with this webinar series is to kind of build the best webinar on digital intelligence and keep it really kind of close to you listeners. And you can also propose us some new topics to explore through this quick feedback form that I also shared to you in the comments. And as you, Mark, already asked, we will share the slides and the recording of this webinar and the link to the ebook then in the email that I will send to you after this webinar. But I think it's time to wrap up. Thank you all. Thank you for the comments and questions and for joining us for this hour. We really hope that you learned something concrete that you can take into your day-to-day work and take the next step on your transformation journey with those. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
have a great day.
Great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.